House and the chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, and a range of anonymous officials linked to the president, directly attacked me for saying that, quote, officials in Nigeria are ignoring or even facilitating the mass murder of Christians by Islamic jihadists. Last year, I met with a delegation of top Nigerian defense and security officials. They said they were committed to ending the violence. I told them I would judge their commitment by the results. Those results have yet to materialize. President Trump has established that the United States will use all tools of statecraft to counter the violence. He ordered that Nigeria be added to the CPC list, and in December he ordered the Department of War to target ISIS terrorists in response to their massacre of Christians. I'll note that the Nigerian government said at the time that it welcomed and indeed requested the actions. I find their statements to be somewhere between hypocritical and infuriating. In December, the president said that jihadists had been targeting Christians in Nigeria, quote, at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. What does the situation look like now, several months later, and what can and should the United States do to stop the mass murder of Christians?
In the heart of Africa, a nation bleeds, not from a single wound, but from 1,000 cuts, inflicted by a false union, never meant to endure. This is the story of Nigeria. A giant built on false foundations, now straining beneath the weight of its own contradictions. And at the center of that storm stands the unbroken spirit of Biafra, crying out for freedom from a nightmare that has consumed millions. It began with the rivers of blood in 1966. Thousands of Biafran men, women and children, professionals, traders, students and families who had built lives across the Federation became targets in the northern city, fueled by ethnic hatred and religious hostility. Mobs descended upon innocent civilians. They were slaughtered in their homes, in crowded markets, and aboard trains carrying desperate families back to the east. Streets were littered with bodies, rivers choked with corpses. Survivors returned to the east carrying trauma, grief, and the painful realization that they were no longer wanted in the Nigerian Union. Biafra, Biafra, voice of truth and freedom. Biafra, Biafra, the rising sun will rise again. Then came May 30th, 1967, a desperate act of survival. What followed were 30 months of unimaginable devastation. The Nigerian military, armed and backed by foreign powers, including Britain, Russia and Egypt, surrounded the young republic. A total blockade was imposed. No food, no medicine, no escape. Starvation became a weapon of war. 5 million, mostly civilians, many of them children, perished during what was not just a conflict but genocide against Biafra. Bombs fell on markets, hospitals and villages. Communities were razed. The world watched in silence while famine hollowed the faces of innocent children. Some nations spoke out, but many turned away. The war officially ended in paper in 1970 under the declaration, no victor, no vanquished. Yet for Biafrans, the suffering did not end. Their properties were confiscated, careers destroyed. Biafrans were given only 20 pounds regardless of how much they had. Entire families struggled to rebuild shattered lives. The promise of reintegration faded into disappointment. Marginalization deepened in Nigerian government appointments, infrastructure and control of resources from Biafran land. Oil flowing from the Biafra land enriched the center, while much of the east remained neglected. Roads deteriorated, industries collapsed. Biafra, Biafra. Voice of truth and freedom. The rising sun will rise again. The nightmare did not disappear, rather it evolved. Across Nigeria today, violence and insecurity continue to devastate communities. Armed attacks by Fulani herdsmen, terrorists have left villages destroyed, farmers killed, women violated, children orphaned and churches burned. Boko Haram and its offshoots have unleashed terror across multiple regions in the southeast. Demands for Biafra and self-determination are often met with military crackdowns, arrests and bloodshed. Protesters have been killed, fear and tension continue to rise. These tragedies reflect the deadly consequences of forcing vastly different peoples into one political structure. Through the 1914 British amalgamation, distinct ethnic nations, religion, traditions, ideologies, and systems of governance were merged without consent and without a shared national vision. The North's feudal and religious conservatism can never blend with the South's entrepreneurial drive. And the East Republican individualism attempts to hold the Union together continue to be at the cost of innocent blood. Why does Biafra matter?
Biafra means self-determination.
Biafra represents dignity, survival, and the right of a people to life and choose their future.
Biafra
symbolizes resistance, innovation, enterprise, and hope. The vision is of a nation with secure borders, focused development, protection of its citizens, and economic engagement with the world, a future free from oppression, fear, and perpetual conflict. The solution is not endless political conferences, military force or federal quota system, but a peaceful separation based on shared values and voluntary association. History shows that artificial unions often fracture violently, while honest separation can allow wounded nations to recover.
Biafra is not dead, Biafra lives.
It lives because the desire for freedom cannot be extinguished. Nigeria's ongoing crisis, corruption, insecurity, poverty, and division are proof that one structure cannot hold people with dangerous diversities together. For the million already lost, for the children yet unborn.
Biafra,
Biafra independence is non-negotiable. Let Africa remember that true unity cannot be sustained by force. The world must listen before more lives are lost.
Biafra,
Biafra lives, freedom calls. God bless Biafra. God bless the land of the rising sun. God bless Biafra Republic, government in exile, led by Prime Minister His Excellency Okechukwu, for standing tall in the pursuit of Biafra independence. Can you hear the cry from the broken land, from the wounded hearts? Nigeria, they bleed, people they cry, tears for the ground, nobody asks why. Over 7,000 souls don't fall every single day, we still there call.
churches burning, hope fading fast. Since 2009, the pain don't last. 50,000, maybe more. Heaven days single soul.
Children without home tonight, mothers praying through the night, fathers lost no strength to fight. Who goes stand for what is right?
Stand for love, stand for life. Be the answer in this time. You can have to wipe their tears. You can calm their fears. Give a hand, don't turn away. Be the light in darkest day. Every little you provide keeps a soul alive.
Voices crying in chains, silent echoes filled with pain. 19,000 churches gone, but faith still rising,
Holding on.
in the ashes. Hope remains, love can heal the deepest pains.
Shelter broken, dreams erased. Hungry hearts we can embrace. Let compassion take its place. Now's the time to show His grace. Stand for love, stand for life. Be the answer in this time. You can help to wipe their tears. You can calm their fears. Give a hand, don't turn away. Be the light in darkest day. Every little you provide keeps a soul alive.
Food, water, shelter, hope. You can be the miracle they pray for. You can change a life today. No matter how small it seems, your love can rebuild their dreams. Together we can make a way. Keeps us all alive.
Great people of Biafra. This is the voice of Biafra. The voice that cannot be silenced. The voice of truth, resilience, and freedom. Speaking to you in the spirit of courage and in the language of liberation. Nigeria government has lost control over insecurity. Fellow listeners, what was once whispered in fear, what was once denied in arrogance, has now become a reality too loud to ignore. A nation staggering under the weight of its own contradictions is rapidly losing control over insecurity. From the north to the south, from the east to the west, the land trembles, not from natural disaster, but from man-made chaos. Communities abandoned, villages raided under the cover of darkness, highways turned into corridors of fear. Citizens left to fend for themselves. In a country where the government once promised protection, the question now echoes across the land. Where is the government? Where are the security forces? Where is the accountability? In recent times, markets have become targets. Travelers have become victims. Families have become statistics. And yet, those in power continue to speak in rehearsed tone. Detached from the suffering of the people, observers say. This is no longer a matter of isolated incidents. This is systemic failure. A collapse of responsibility. A nation where innocent lives are wasted daily. As fear grips the population, a new reality emerges. The people have lost confidence. Trust has been eroded. Hope has faded. But here, on this frequency, we do not deal in fear. We deal in truth. And the truth is this: a government that cannot protect its people has failed its most sacred duty to the people. Listen. Remain vigilant. Remain aware. Remain strong. Nigeria has failed its citizens, and in awareness lies survival. This is a wake-up call. You are listening to the voice of Biafra, where truth lives and freedom speaks. Biafrans stand firm until justice speaks louder than silence. And stay safe. God bless Biafra Republic. God bless Biafra Republic government in exile.
In the heart of Africa, a nation bleeds, not from a single wound, but from 1,000 cuts, inflicted by a false union, never meant to endure. This is the story of Nigeria. A giant built on false foundations, now straining beneath the weight of its own contradictions. And at the center of that storm stands the unbroken spirit of Biafra, crying out for freedom from a nightmare that has consumed millions. It began with the rivers of blood in 1966. Thousands of Biafran men, women and children, professionals, traders, students and families who had built lives across the Federation, became targets in the northern city, fueled by ethnic hatred and religious hostility. Mobs descended upon innocent civilians. They were slaughtered in their homes, in crowded markets, and aboard trains carrying desperate families back to the east. Streets were littered with bodies, rivers choked with corpses. Survivors returned to the east carrying trauma, grief, and the painful realization that they were no longer wanted in the Nigerian Union. Biafra, Biafra, voice of truth and freedom. Biafra, Biafra, the rising sun will rise again. Then came May 30th, 1967. A desperate act of survival. What followed were 30 months of unimaginable devastation. The Nigerian military, armed and backed by foreign powers, including Britain, Russia and Egypt, surrounded the young republic. A total blockade was imposed. No food, no medicine, no escape. Starvation became a weapon of war. 5 million, mostly civilians, many of them children, perished during what was not just a conflict but genocide against Biafra. Bombs fell on markets, hospitals and villages. Communities were razed. The world watched in silence while famine hollowed the faces of innocent children. Some nations spoke out, but many turned away. The war officially ended in paper in 1970 under the declaration: no victor, no vanquished. Yet for Biafrans, the suffering did not end. Their properties were confiscated, careers destroyed. Biafrans were given only 20 pounds regardless of how much they had. Entire families and deepened in Nigerian government appointments, infrastructure and control of resources from Biafran land. Oil flowing from the Biafra land enriched the center, while much of the east remained neglected. Roads deteriorated, industries collapsed. Biafra, Biafra. Voice of truth and freedom. The rising sun will rise again. The nightmare did not disappear, rather it evolved. Across Nigeria today, violence and insecurity continue to devastate communities. Armed attacks by Fulani herdsmen terrorists have left villages destroyed, farmers killed, women violated, children orphaned and churches burned. Boko Haram and its offshoots have unleashed terror across multiple regions in the southeast. Demands for Biafra and self-determination are often met with military crackdowns, arrests and bloodshed. Protesters have been killed, fear and tension continue to rise. These tragedies reflect the deadly consequences of forcing vastly different peoples into one political structure. Through the 1914 British amalgamation, distinct ethnic nations, religion, traditions, ideologies, and systems of governance were merged without consent and without a shared national vision. The North's feudal and religious conservatism can never blend with the South's entrepreneurial drive. And the East Republican individualism attempts to hold the Union together continue to be at the cost of innocent blood. Why does Biafra matter?
Biafra means self-determination.
Biafra represents dignity, survival, and the right of a people to life and choose their future.
Biafra
symbolizes resistance, innovation, enterprise, and hope. The vision is of a nation with secure borders, focused development, protection of its citizens, and economic engagement with the world of future, free from oppression, fear, and perpetual conflict. The solution is not endless political conferences, military force or federal quota system, but a peaceful separation based on shared values and voluntary association. History shows that artificial unions often fracture violently, while honest separation can allow wounded nations to recover.
Biafra is not dead, Biafra lives.
It lives because the desire for freedom cannot be extinguished. Nigeria's ongoing crisis, corruption, insecurity, poverty, and division are proof that one structure cannot hold people with dangerous diversities together. For the million already lost, for the children yet unborn.
Biafra,
Biafra independence is non-negotiable. Let Africa remember that true unity cannot be sustained by force. The world must listen before more lives are lost.
Biafra,
Biafra lives, freedom calls. God bless Biafra. God bless the land of the rising sun. God bless Biafra Republic, government in exile, led by Prime Minister His Excellency Okechukwu, for standing tall in the pursuit of Biafra independence. Biafra, Biafra.
Are we live?
Yes.
Greetings to everyone, and you're welcome to Politics Insight on Voice of Biafra Television once again. And with us in the studio today, we have Michael Rubin. And I will leave the stage to the Prime Minister and Michael Rubin to do the finishing. Dr. Michael
Thank
Rubin,
you very much,
welcome to
Minister of Information. It is a great honor to be here today with Dr. Michael Rubin, one of the most respected think tank official and foreign policy leader in Washington, D.C., and a great friend of Biafra and Biafra Republic government in exile. He is more his impressive biography. Here is more of his impressive biography. Michael Rubin is a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, where he specialized in Iran, Turkey, and the broader Middle East. A former Pentagon official, Dr. Rubin has lived in post-revolution Iran, Yemen, and both pre- and post-war Iraq. He also spent time with the Taliban before 9/11. For more than a decade, he taught classes at sea about the Horn of Africa and Middle East conflict, culture, and terrorism. To deploy U.S. Navy and Marine units, Dr. Rubin is the author, co-author, and co-editor of several books exploring diplomacy, Iranian history, Arab culture, Kurdish studies, and Shiite politics, including several pillars. What really causes instability in the Middle East? AER, Press 2019, Kurdistan's Rising, AEI, Press 216, Dancing with the Devil, The Perils of Engaging Rogue Regimes, Encounter Books, 2014, and Internal Iran Continuity and Chaos. Paragraph 2005, Dr. Ruby has a PhD and MA in history from Yale University, where he also obtained a BS in biology. Thank you, Dr. Ruby. The question we have a lot of questions, but because of time, we just take as much as we can. The Biafra Republic government in exile has focused on promoting the U.S. recognition of Christian genocide in Nigeria and had aggressively engaged the U.S. government for such recognition in parallel with other advocacy such as the U.S. Christian community and organization. This has been successful with President Trump declaring Christian genocide in Nigeria. From our perspective, this allows for normalization or discussion of the concept of an independent Christian state in the form of Biafra. Doctor, what are your thoughts about President Trump and the White House declaration about Christian genocide on Nigeria and steps taken to hold Nigerian government accountable? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister. It's a pleasure to be here speaking with you. First of all, I'm glad that President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio have calibrated U.S. policy towards reality rather than wishful thinking, like what we saw with the previous administration when Nigeria was taken off the watch list by Secretary of State Antony Blinken. And frankly, the facts on the ground tell the story much more important than any U.S. administration. And so I would hope, Democrat or Republican, whoever follows President Trump, would also continue to recognize the real slaughter of Christians that is occurring in Biafra. The way I look at it is this way. There are two possibilities. Number one, either the Nigerian government is directly and purposely slaughtering the Christians in Biafra. The second possibility is the Nigerian government is too weak to prevent the slaughter of Christians in Biafra. Either way, however, the fact remains that there is an ongoing genocide. If the Nigerian government is purposely and directly seeking genocide against Biafra, then the United States must recognize Biafra to help protect it. And if the Nigerian government is a failed state and too weak to prevent the actions of the Fulani militias, then the United States should stop recognizing the fiction of Nigeria and recognize the independence of Biafra. In reality, Nigeria is a colonial empire. It's an artificial state, and it's a failed state. The fact of the matter is, it's time to continue the full decolonization of Western Africa, and that means allowing Biafra, Amazonia to be free.
Thank you very much, Doctor. What are your thoughts on the interconnection between the Nigerian Christian persecution issue and how it ties in with Biafran aspiration?
Well, look, Biafra didn't simply form a few years ago. It's not simply the product of a diaspora community meeting in Finland. The fact of the matter is, Biafra has always existed, and that we see when we fail to recognize genocide when it occurs, when we fail to delegitimize the ideology that leads to that genocide, is it ensures a repetition of that genocide. After World War II, the German Nazi Party was stigmatized, and the Germans were forced to come to account with what they did. The problem we have in Nigeria is that too many countries have given Nigeria an excuse not to recognize its own responsibility for the first genocide in Biafra. And because of that, the ideology has continued and it has amplified to the point where we now have the second genocide in Biafra. The moral compromise of people like the president of Finland is shameful. The moral compromise of Anthony Blinken when he was Secretary of State was shameful, especially because he used his own father-in-law's experience in the Holocaust as part of his claim to moral standing when he became Secretary of State. The fact of the matter is, there will not be peace in Nigeria until Biafra is free. And it is unfair for everyone in Biafra to have to suffer through a second Nigerian genocide, a second Biafra genocide at the hands of the Nigerian government, simply because diplomats want to be polite and want to make their oil deals and their other trade deals. The Christians of Nigeria should not be sacrificed so that some Europeans can make a quick contract.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'm so encouraged with your words, your expertise, and your knowledge. I hope people are listening and learning from the expert and for who care for humanity. Thank you. The Biafra Republic government in Criple Brgie heavily invests in time and energy and in high-level engagement in Washington, D.C., while the new Biafra movement has existed since the late 90s. A professional engagement campaign led by Brgie in Washington, D.C. is a very recent phenomenon, being less than 2 years old. Due to this change in strategy, in some ways, we have more success in the past 2 years than the previous 20. We have two questions relating to this. Can you explain to the Biafran people why educating U.S. officials on the Biafra issue is critical?
Well, first of all, what you say is absolutely true. I personally, of course, am not Biafran, and so I'm not going to comment on internal Biafran politics. What I would say, however, is that whatever one's political belief as a Biafran, the most important thing is education of people outside Biafra, of people outside Nigeria, to understand the Biafran cause. And there's absolutely no doubt that great progress has been made over the last 2 or 3 years on the issue. Now, there's been two issues or two dynamics that have allowed to this success. The first is the lobbying campaign that the Biafran community in exile has undertaken in Washington. You have made people aware. You don't need to spin. You don't need to create facts. All you need to do is educate. Because unfortunately, the Nigerian government is creating the facts with its own perpetuation of genocide in Biafra. Frankly, however, the Biafran community has also become lucky in Washington simply because of the sheer incompetence of the Nigerian embassy. The fact of the matter is, there is not an embassy more lazy in Washington, D.C. than the Nigerian embassy. Even when I talk to State Department officials who do not necessarily agree with the idea of an independent Biafran state, they will acknowledge that the reason why the Biafran cause has sunk such deep roots now in Washington, D.C., is not only because of the lobbying efforts, but also because the Nigerian government has not managed to contradict or explain any of the assertions made by the Biafran community or its own Nigerian actions. So the fact of the matter is, you have had great success. And the reason why this is important is because genocide happens in the dark. When you shine a light on the slaughter of Christians in villages and towns in Biafra, then their deaths are not in vain. There is accountability. We can look at any number of episodes. Kosovo in 1999 with Bill Clinton, or more recently, the military action in Iran. And we can recognize the importance of understanding how the slaughter of a country's own people led to intervention. And so, in the case of Nigeria, while no one is talking about intervention right now, the fact of the matter is people are talking about sanctions against Nigeria. And frankly, the Biafran case for independence is going to become even more important as an element of U.S. national security, as a U.S. interest. If the government in Mali falls, then we are going to refocus on the problem of jihadism, of Al-Qaeda, of Islamic extremism, of the Islamic State in West Africa. And while, of course, Mali and Nigeria do not share a direct border, the fact of the matter is that if Mali becomes a safe haven for Al-Qaeda, Nigeria is going to be its target. And if the Nigerian government is as incompetent and as permeated by Islamists as we've seen over the last several years, then the United States, not for reasons directly of religious freedom, but for reasons of stability and security in West Africa, will have absolutely no reason, no choice, but to recognize the state of Biafra as an independent country.
Wow. Thank you very much. And the Nigerian terrorist government, they always make our job easier for us. The Biafra Republic government in exile has a
was granted asylum by the government of Nigeria, was granted asylum by the government of Nigeria, a fellow genocidaire government. The fact of the matter is, for security reasons, all of them go together in a way that is beneficial to both countries.
Thank you very much, Doctor. As a follow-up to the previous question, Brgie have offered a U.S. military base in Biafran territory, which would provide the U.S. valuable access to the Gulf of Guinea, which we know is very, very important. We believe this is valuable, given increased terrorism in West Africa and the loss of U.S. presence in the Sahel. This idea of having U.S. military base in Biafra